Welcome to the Claws Out podcast. We are live here at the Mic'd Up studio in Parramatta, just about 20 minutes after the West Tigers' 16-13 loss to the Parramatta Eels. I'm joined by Steve and Gary, who were both at the game this afternoon, and Adel joins us from his Brisbane bunker. Similar to last week, guys, we're going to be combining the two shows. The first half of the show, we're going to be reviewing the game just past, and the second half, it's a little bit more debate style. Some of the big issues during the week, obviously the Benji and Adam Dewey press conference. Sean was interviewed by the two boys, Gary and Steve, pre-game for the ambush. So we'll talk a little bit about that and some of his comments, some interesting comments by our CEO, and a look ahead to 2027. But, Coach, I'll throw to you first. Your overall emotion after that game. It was, I don't know if you're aware of the Benny Hill music, but you could have played it basically over the whole 80 minutes of that game.
Well, I guess if you want to ever describe what the two clubs are at the moment, football-wise, you just got to tell them to watch that game, and that'll define where both clubs are at the moment. Yeah, it wasn't a pretty game of football. I thought we showed some grit to get back into the game, but how do you got to be able to ice those last 10 minutes, and we couldn't do that.
Yeah, I think the teams combined for 35 errors, according to NRL.com, 19 from Parramatta and 16 from us. But are you ready for a bit of debate round three, Coach? They're dropping like flies. You've knocked out the two Robs. They're nowhere to be seen tonight. You're going to be taking on perhaps Steve and Gary. I might even just inject myself a little bit, Coach, if you want to take me on. A reserve grader, I'm like a Harold Matthews player.
Steve Bashara calling in tonight.
Yeah, can try and put on an accent.
Don't even know the topic, mate. So.
Steve, you were out there this afternoon.
Yep.
What was it like? Obviously deflating to lose the game, but you remain emotion walking away from the stadium and up here.
Oh, honestly, mate, just apathy. And it was apathy through the game too. Like we got behind by 12 points, and that was just as expected. I suppose I thought we had a little bit more resolve in our defence than in previous, but just it'd be hard not to. And then we came back and got ourselves into a winning position, and then blew the game again. So at the end of the day, it doesn't count for anything. And I just wasn't excited or upset or anything.
Still though, Gary, I mean, it's the way I'm built, but I almost would have rather just Parramatta just go on with the game. But once we got back in and got ahead, geez, it would have given the club a lift just to get a win, given they've got a bye and the month they've had.
Yeah, well, it's now 2 wins from the last 11 games or something. It's absolutely a terrible record. Getting that win we've seen over the last couple of years is a bit of a pressure release for the club. When these big crisis situations develop around the club, that releases that pressure. It probably needs that pressure to be released a little bit. But I think the team showed today they just don't know how to finish a game off and how to win a game. And I think that was very evident in the last couple of minutes of that game. We just didn't know how to end that today.
All right, well, let's start with a couple of positives, potentially, although the Like a Tiger moment's had a bit of a twist of late. Coach, what's yours?
Well, it has to be Fanua's try, doesn't it? I mean, that's Fui Moi at his absolute best. But I don't know. That's the only thing that could come to mind for me in regards to a Like a Tiger moment. Definitely.
Yeah, well, you've just pinched mine, so thanks for that, Adel. So I'll just branch it out a little bit. I'll say that whole stint in the second half from Fanua Pole, because that try was good, but also I was watching him. He was really leading the line speed and defence for that period. He was on the field, and I thought he's having a real go here, and he's trying to bring the team back into the game. So, yeah, I can't get any further than that.
So your moment was a half of football.
Well, it wasn't half of football. It was half a half, wasn't it?
Yeah, half
a decade. It felt like watching that.
I actually thought then when Adele stole yours, because we spoke about it on the way over, you might steal mine on me. So.
We'd never do that. I actually forgotten. I wasn't listening to it.
Well, mine's not really a positive. My Like a Tiger moment is the typical end to a Tigers game. We get a field goal, hit the front with a couple of minutes to go, and then we allow the Eels to isolate Macassini and score that try to win the game. That's West Tigers DNA through and through. How many times have we put ourselves in a position in the last couple of minutes to win a game and then not being able to finish it off? And that's my Like a Tiger moment.
One other big positive, Coach, Captain Courageous Happy Coruscant, his 250th NRL game today. I hope, and I'll ask Gary and Steve in a minute, the club celebrated it the way he deserves to be celebrated, but it sort of surprised me when I had a look, and I saw a couple of the articles and comments this week that he's actually played more games for the West Tigers than any other club. This was his 80th game for us. He played 77 at Manly, 63 at Penrith, 79 at Penrith because he had 2 stints there, and 14 at South Sydney.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I'm very biased towards him, but I'm disappointed that he couldn't get the result today. I feel like he's someone that's always been disrespected at other clubs, but I think he's found his value with us, even though I guess the club hasn't given him the same values back on the field. But look, I'm just really proud of him and all the acknowledgement he got this week. Besides maybe that one moment today that he'd like to have back when he missed the tackle on Semrani, I thought he was really good for us. But yeah, just proud for him now, and hopefully he gets to finish his career with us, and we try to find a little bit of toughness and resolve over the next couple of years to make sure he finishes his career off the right way.
I think he's won 3 premierships. Was it 2 at Penrith and 1 at South when he did that first year at South? But, Coach, will he go down as one of the toughest players of his generation? I'm not sure if he's considered that way, but just given his size and stature and the position he plays on the field and how he plays on the all-effort, do you think that's a fair comment?
Yeah, toughness. Benji mentioned it during the week. I knew a couple of years ago some of the efforts that he was putting through in the back end of those wooden spoon years, because I know he was absolutely banged up, but he just decided to keep playing even though the club tried to shut him down towards the back end of years. So, yeah, definitely tough. He's significantly undersized. I'd say he's one of the smallest players in the competition, which probably hasn't helped him in regards to, I think, representative honours in previous years. But, yeah, I'd say he's probably one of the most craftiest hookers we've had in the game for a very, very long time. I seen someone the other day put up something about, will he be, obviously it's going to be a debate when he's done. Is he our greatest hooker, or is Robbie going to be our greatest hooker? But, that's a conversation for other people to have. But, yeah, toughness personified what he's been for us.
Steve, your thoughts on Appy's overall stint at West Tigers, and then tell us how the club celebrated today at the ground.
Well, he's a true leader, Eddie, and he's a very humble leader. Benji often makes a comment in press conferences that Appy won't talk about what he's done, so I'll talk about it, sort of thing. He leads by actions, and I think he's a sort of bloke that when he talks, like I heard that he addressed the team, before this game, about all the trouble that's been going on, and you could have heard a pin drop in the room apparently the way he spoke, and I just think it's a bit of a pity really that we don't have other leaders. He's the leader that you want to mould yourself off, right? Actions speak louder than words. We've got a lot of leaders in our club that seem to talk the talk, but when it comes to walking the walk, they go missing or are unavailable, stuff like that. So I think he's a great leader, yeah, and he will go down in the West Tigers history as one of our best to date. As for today, it was pretty low key, really. Like they had 20-year members out in the field forming a guard of honour for him. The team ran out before him and then joined that guard of honour. And then he walked out through that and he was celebrated there. But then it was just
got the nice T-shirt I saw.
Yeah, that's right. They were doing giveaway. They gave away a T-shirt. I didn't get one. Gary went down and grabbed mine. One. So
yeah, the T-shirt was actually a really great idea. Where in the past our club has sold T-shirts. I know they sold T-shirts for Benji and Robbie when they reached milestone games. These were given out for free to people coming into the ground today. So I thought that was a fantastic thing to do for Appy. They spoke to his family. They had things from other players up on the big screen. So I thought they did a really good job of acknowledging it today. Sean spoke about it when we spoke to him at the ambush event as well. Appy is the West Tigers at the moment for me. He is that guy. He is that spiritual leader of our club. You see him after games in press conferences, and that guy is spent. Like there's times in those press conferences where he can barely talk. There's been times where he almost looks like he's about to fall asleep. That's what he's put out onto the field. That's how much he's given to the club. And I hope before he retires, we get this club to a position where it's able to repay what he's given this club, that they're able to provide him with another semi-final run, because there's no other person in our club who deserves it more than he does.
I'd say he's the opposite of it, Gary. He's the opposite of the West Tigers, to be honest.
Yeah.
West Tigers,
100%.
As a club, we don't bite down on our mouth guard or get through the tough times or play injured or, we take the easy option both as a club and as the majority of the team. I'd say he's a complete opposite of it at the moment, and that's probably where we need to sort of go back to what fundamentally he brings into his game and brings into his approach to our club and our team. And he talked about it early in the week that he grew up a West Tigers fan, so he's loving the fact that he's getting to play at the club that he loves. But I don't think the club is anything a reflection of him at the moment. It's the complete opposite.
And it's really interesting, Adel, when he first came to the club, there was all that talk around the jokes he made at Penrith before he came across, and people questioning his commitment to our club. There's no question about what he is committed to our club. There's no question about him being all in at our club. I've never seen a guy come to our club and be as committed to our club. And there's been talk around other players at our club over the past 2 weeks who say that they love our club. Appy Coruscant doesn't have to say he loves our club. He's out on the field every single week showing what this club means to him. Now, this is a guy that's won premierships at other clubs. He doesn't need to show what this club means to him when he's playing at a club that has won multiple wooden spoons while he was here, not because of him, but he doesn't need to profess his love for the club because he shows it every single week when he goes out on the field. And I couldn't have more respect for the guy for what he's given to the West Tigers.
Yeah, well done, Appy. Big congrats to everyone at West Tigers TV. I know times are tough at the moment, but he has a heart of a champion. Coach, just on that, we're not going to break down all the tries tonight, but obviously the big moment of the game, 13-12 up with just, I think, 4 minutes to go. Parramatta seemed to botch the set of 6, but find the right pass on the 5th tackle. What happened there?
Yeah, I'm so disappointed for Marzi because I thought he was really good all game. I thought our left edge did a much better job than they did last week, especially the junior on the wing, and then I think who played left centre last week? I think Tito played left centre, didn't he?
He did.
But I thought Hamarski did a really, really good job all game. But that's the thing about first grade is you can do it for 78 minutes. You've got to be able to do it for 80. And on the, in that last moment there, he just gets that completely wrong. Like there was absolutely no need. It wasn't even a misread. It was literally he went outside of what his job was systematically, defensively, to try to solve something that didn't need to be solved. And I actually feel really sorry. I know we're all angry and we're frustrated in that moment. You want to sit there and criticise, but I just feel so sorry for him. I know we want to feel sorry for ourselves as fans, but I feel sorry for him because he got that so completely wrong. Now, I did see somebody. Oh, no, actually, I won't go there. That's all. That's
go
all
there later. It's a long show, Coach. We're going to do 90 minutes, so we'll get you worked up as we go along. But Steve,
I'm biting my tongue, Gary. I'm biting my tongue.
Steve, I was disappointed for the boys, even though I was saying some negative shit as usual in the chat because I was raging during the game. But
no,
to the fact that they got that pole try, which you could see just lifted them. The confidence suddenly and the energy was there, and we had enough ball to win 6 games. But then to take the smart play and get in front and get the field goal, and then give a penalty away and concede a try in the last 3 or 4 minutes, I guess that just sums up the luck we're having at the moment and the way the club's going.
Well, you could look at it as luck or bad luck, and quite reasonably. But I just put it down to our culture and our standards, and that's the way we roll. We get in a winnable position. Like that's where Adam Dewey is at his absolute best in those clutch moments. Like he's got the confidence and the ego to get up there and take my ball and execute, which he did. But then we can't keep it out. But the point is, we didn't lose that game in the last minute. We lost that game in the first 20 minutes. Like we had all the running in that first 25 minutes. Every time Parramatta got the ball in decent ball field position, they then made an error and gave it back to us. We were up there end most of the time, and yet again we had no execution in red zone plays or even a little further out than red zone plays. We didn't put any plays on. We didn't do anything apart from turn the ball inside, hit it up through the middle, and then we'd pass it out wide, but with no effect. Right, we're just passing. We're not trying to achieve anything. We're not trying to create numbers or beat a man. It's been going on for months and months and months, and that's where we lost the game.
A little bit like the Newcastle game, Gary, but times 10. Like they gave us so many opportunities to win that game, and there were some moments there like Tito would usually catch that ball and score in the corner. Parramatta were ready to be knocked out, and we couldn't do it.
Yeah, time again, and Steve's exactly right. That opening 20 minutes, our inability to actually take advantage of that red zone attack that we had really set us up for the rest of that first half especially. Our inability to actually slot hold up that sliding defence that Parramatta was using quite well against us, really put us on the back foot for the rest of the game. And then Parramatta went down and scored and put us on the back foot. We weren't able to recover from that in that first half. It wasn't until the second half when Pole came back on and actually showed a little bit of aggression through the middle, that elite run he actually did through the middle, that turned the confidence around and turned the intensity up in our attack, and that made a difference and allowed us to climb back into the game.
Coach, I look at some of the stats. I just want to, and I don't want to hammer the team tonight because I know everyone's hurting and they're all trying and there was a lot of effort out there today, but that final set of 6, like, is that all we've got? And I can't give tiredness as an excuse because we had 55% of the ball for the game. Completions, we had 76% to their mid-60s. And that final set of 6, I think we had a crash line to Samuela, tackle 4, and then just a spiral hopeful bomb on tackle 5. Am I being too harsh, or is that just not good enough last play of the game?
No, I think it typifies sort of where we're at the moment. I think the boys take too many plays off, don't have enough desperation. And I'm not saying they didn't have effort because I thought they did put in effort today, but they're almost waiting for somebody else to do something. You've got to be desperate in certain situations of the game, and I just don't think we show any sort of desperation when we're behind. As a group, I don't think we have the right energy. I think sometimes we put our energies in the wrong spots. But in that last set of the game, as soon as you get the football, you know you've got 90 metres to go. And again, I'm going to be critical of the coaches here because Rob always accused me not of being critical. Now, we don't know if this is a fact, but I know at lower levels, you practice for what they call 1 or 2 minute drills that if you got one set with 90 or 100, or anywhere outside 60, 70 metres to go, you practice what you would actually do in that whole set. And the commentators were talking about the fact that usually you'd actually move the ball as much as you can to get the opposition moving because they're going to panic. They're going to give as much ground as they can, but they're not going to let you go through the middle, especially with one set to go. We didn't do that. It was weird. And maybe that's just lack of prep, potentially. But also it could be that we have prepared it, but when we get under pressure, under fatigue, we can't execute it. So it's hard for me to sort of make comment on which way that goes. But we showed absolutely nothing. We had one crack, and that was basically to give Samuel the ball one-on-one, which I think actually was a good option. But again, and Junior talked about it in our chat, no one pushed up off the ball. And that's what I mean by there's not enough energy put into the right moments. Everybody's looking for a me play, but there's no extra effort plays. And even when we scored tries today, I look at what's happening around the people that scored tries, and there was blokes walking. But I'm sure we'll touch on that soon. But yeah, we just don't have any effort in us across the board.
Our attack, Steve, it's diabolical, really. I think it was the 9th scoreless half this season, 7 first half errors, and the 2 tries we scored were just through individual mentality in terms of running the ball hard and tucking it under their arm.
Yeah, well, it's like Adel was saying, like I've been to, I haven't been to that much, but I've been to a fair bit of training this year, and it's interesting when I think about what Adel was just saying about practicing for purpose, and like I've seen them, they seem to do a lot of defensive attacking out of your end, right? So defensive attacking sets, and then they'll swap around, they'll do some attacking, hit the line, but never do you see them. Never when I've been there have I seen them do set up for a field goal set or set up for a short kickoff set or, like as Adel said, a last 1 minute play. So, I don't know. I've been saying for a long time, everything I see about West Tigers, it just lacks attention to detail. And I just wonder whether it's the same thing. The other point I would make about their attack, I tell you what, the lack of belief is astonishing in themselves. And this is where you do feel sorry for them because it was just so obvious at the game. Pole scored that try. The physical lift was, you could see it, right? They ran harder. Their line speed was quicker. Like there was all of a sudden like an injection of belief into the team that wasn't there before. Now, I don't know how you arrest that.
Pretty ugly numbers, Gary. I think it was 22 points in 4 games. It might be, 40 points now in 6. But Adam and Jerome are the chief playmakers. The problem, does the responsibility lie there, or does it shift right across the board to coaches and players on the outside of them?
I think when you're scoring that amount of points, I don't think anyone's free from the blame in that. I think it's your halves. I think it's your coaching staff. I think there has to be serious questions asked about your attacking coach and that, and I don't want to go too deep into stuff about next year because I'm sure that's going to be in what we're talking about later. But I think our attacking structures are all wrong at this point of the season, and we're towards the end of the season when things should be actually improving, and I can't see our attacking structures improving at all at this point in time.
Coach, you on Adam and Jerome today?
I mean, individually, that they both showed. To me, they showed really good effort plays across the board. I mean, I don't think that's where we're going to judge those two anymore. We're going to judge them on what our attack looks like. I mean, I thought Jerome and Adam defensively on both edges come up with some big plays. So we're going to talk about both sides of the ball here. Defensively, I thought they were both outstanding. Jerome's going to be a massive loss for us defensively on that left edge. I mean, the way he's able to sort of push teams away from being able to poke their nose through that three-man around where he is and his back rower, I think is going to be something we're going to miss significantly next year. Look, I've been really hesitant to make judgment on our attack, but I watched very carefully today, and we had a lot of football, especially in our red zone. We give the opposition the same picture on multiple occasions. And what I mean by that is we'll run the same play 5 times in a game. Sorry, the 5 times in back-to-back sets. Now, I don't mind that if it's working and you're picking the other team apart. But it almost seems to me like we're just going to try doing the same thing over and over and over to say, let's keep going at it. And it's almost like the old adage of keep trying and at some stage you'll get through. What you got to understand is the defence is also getting the same look every time. So every time you're working on getting that play right, the defence is actually having to defend that same play every time as well. So they're getting to see you run that play. There is no purpose to how we run our play. When we run shape one way, the other side of the ruck sits there and is having a breather. They're having a play off. They're not ready to come back the other way, get themselves in position and ready to go again. There is no double pressure on opposition teams when it comes to our attack. It seems like at times I can see Adam, for example, pointing a spot for our middle to get to. Our middles don't get to that spot. Carrots get dangled for them to run to a different point on the field to start our attack. They'll try to take that extra bit of space 3 or 4 meters away from where our start point wants to be. Now, again, to the normal guy sitting at home, you sit there and think, well, why does that matter? Because when you practice from points, and all the teams in the competition do it. The other thing to me that's pretty evident now is we need a 13. And I've started to have a think about what our competition looks like at the moment, and I reckon now it's gone back to what Penrith looked like a couple of years ago where their 13 was influential. That went away from the game in the last couple of years, I think. I think Brisbane have played really without a genuine 13 over the last couple of years, and that suited them last year. It suited Canberra because they don't have a genuine 13. So those sort of teams sort of benefited on it last year when penalties were back into the game up to the 40-metre line. Now that it's gone back the other way, I think you need to have a link player in the middle of the field to be able to move your attack a little bit, and we need that. And I don't know where we're going to get that from. I mean, obviously the discussion is about Adam sort of playing that role, but that's just a guess. I mean, how do we know Adam can actually do that job? And it's hard to ask him to do it at the moment. So, yeah, that's to me what our attack looks like off the back of those two guys in the halves. But, we don't have to worry about that because one of them's not going to be there next year, but the other one may not be as well.
We just also, Adel, I'm interested in what you think. We don't, through a set of 6, we don't seem to be knowing where we're heading in that set of 6. Like you watch a team like Penrith who are the best at it, like that they will throw danger at you 2-3 times in a set, right? Like now we can't do that. So let's say we try to do it twice in a set, but we don't even do that. Like so many times we'll throw 2 passes to the left, right? We'll look for that. No, that doesn't work. So we'll just throw an inside ball back in for a hit up into the middle and start again. It doesn't seem that our set has any beginning and end to it, end point, apart from a 4th tackle hit up to get a 5th tackle kick away.
I think I'm going to blame a few things. I'm going to blame some of our players are dumb. Sorry, boys, I have to say this out loud. Some of our players are dumb. Like you can tell that there's times where Uppy, Adam, and Jerome are having to tell players, you can almost tell that they obviously practice stuff, and the guys, especially lead runners, are missing their assignments. So there's one part to it. The second part to it is because I don't think our players are good enough. I mean, we don't have a genuine 7. I mean, the only bloke that's a genuine 7 in our club is Jock. But Jock's not good enough to be able to do it consistently at an elite level. Adam doesn't suit his game. I've talked about this religiously. Jerome has always been that guy that's played basically on a left edge off the back of guys that can dig into the line, give him space, and where he needs to have a good centre with him. Every time Jerome's played well, it's always been because Taylor's played outside him. Okay, and that's just the strength of who he is. So To me, it's personnel. To me, our players are just not good. Our creative players are just not good enough to be able to execute our attack. Now, I still criticise what our attack looks like because you're right. It doesn't look like we have an idea what we're doing. Like I can sort of kind of see it, but to me, it looks like we're playing one shot per 3 tackles. So you're really only having 2 real decent cracks at the opposition. Where, as you said, a team like Penrith usually throws 4 or 5 shots at them. The only other thing I'll say about that is they've got Isaiah Yeo and Nathan Cleary. And that's probably where I go back to personnel and say you've got to have the right personnel to be able to do that. But, they're going to have to sort that out because it's not going to get any better next year, that's for sure.
Gary, I'll get your thoughts later in the show on whether Adam should have been in first grade or at 7 today, but did his performance today show that he potentially should be playing that lock role or somewhere else? Because, he scored a magnificent try, but it was an individual try. I thought he took a couple of wrong options. Ironically, he probably took the right option when he threw the ball over the sideline, but it was just poor execution of the pass in that first half. Your thoughts on his overall game?
I thought he put in a lot of effort today. The chase for the ball he knocked out on the tackle Buller, mate. I can't remember who it was on now, but he chased downfield.
Early in the game,
There are areas that I've had big concerns about him in the past. His lack of chase, especially when a break is made. Those sort of things I've had large question marks around his game for a long time. I don't think he's a half. I still don't think he's a half. I think his game relies heavily on his running game, not his passing game. I think we saw a number of times today, even the pass to Taruva, that Taruva should have caught. He was in space. It was a bullet pass, but it was slightly behind him as well. Now, I'm not excusing Taruva for dropping that ball, but that's a pass I want my half to execute. The ball he put over the sideline, that's a pass I want my half to execute. They're the issues I have around Adam playing in that halfback role. He's primarily a runner first half. I like a halfback who can ball play better than what he does. For me, I have him in that lock role. I'd love to see him have a go at that lock role. I do have concerns around his defence in that lock role. I would have loved to have seen him play that lock role last week to see what we kind of have there. But for reasons that we all know about now, he didn't play that lock role last week.
Coach, just one of my Lunatic Tigers friends, he sort of wanted your thoughts on. He said, he thought Adam was the only one creating out there and with a high IQ. Is that right, or is that off the mark?
Rob Bashar is drunk at the moment.
Was that Rob that said that or not?
Like the blinkers when it comes to Adam at the moment because he's so, thing about it. But anyways, we won't go down that track. But no. He wasn't the only one creating. They just are all down on confidence. Even Adam, who has a lot of confidence and a lot of belief in himself, I thought at times today lacked a bit of confidence. And, Gus, I don't know if people watched Channel 9 commentary today. Gus said that if you could bottle confidence for human beings, you'd become an absolute billionaire.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter who you are. If you're down on confidence, unfortunately, you're going to fail.
I think creates the wrong word. Like we just watched that game. They didn't create anything. They really didn't. They didn't try anything really. There was a moment where Adam Dewey got himself over the line. There was Fanua Polo got himself over the line. There was no desire. Desire mightn't be the right word. There was no execution of creativity out there.
There's a couple of things they should have iced, though. That Tito try and the one that Adam threw in the first.
That's the execution, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, this is the time of the season where the good sides are executing to the nth degree. We're not even close.
Coach, just one thing, and I don't know who to blame for this, but it summed us up in that first half. I think we got close to the line, and into dummy half goes Samuela, and the guy who runs the crash line is Appy Coruscant. Surely Terrell May or one of your props should be doing that, and poor old Appy drops the ball and we lose the ball. Is that, when you're showing video of that, I don't know if you bother showing the video of that to a team that's down on confidence, but is that a guys on the field that have got to sort that shit out, or is that a coaching thing?
No, they moved the ball from the right to the left with quick space, and we got a really quick play the ball. That's why Samuela was there. I actually take a bit of motivation from that your hooker, if need be, can hit a line with pace. That's how you take that. That's my mindset, how you take it. Should it be a back row dummy half passing to a 9? No, but if you watch the whole play, Appy has no chance of getting to 9 because of how quick the play the ball was, and it was sort of further away from where the ball had come from, where he was a dummy half. Sometimes hookers can't get to every spot. But should he be a guy hitting a lead line on a try and all of that? Absolutely not. But at the same time, if you're going good and things are going well, you can look at that and say that's us being selfless as a group and everybody just doing whatever role they need to do. So it's sort of about what narrative you want to create with it. But when you're going bad, that looks horrendous that our back row is trying to hit our hooker into the hole, isn't it?
Just looking on the other side of the ball for a minute, Coach. I mean, they only coughed up 16 points today, which is a vast improvement. I know Parramatta made 19 errors, so I don't know how much praise you give them, but I thought the intent was there early. Even that first tackle of the game, we drove them back. Did we hold them out at times throughout the game?
We were better physically. Our defence, our ruck control is horrendous. Like times where we were picking blokes up on tackle one and carrying them back and still getting scattered and ending up with one marker. Like, do we do any wrestle work? Like, I know we've got a wrestling coach, but our principles around our control and our ruck and our levers and our wrestle just was horrible today. And don't get me wrong, at the start of the year, we were much better at it. So it sort of tells me that, yes, we were taught it, but the players are just not executing at the moment. The players are not, there's no thinking and no, like Steve said earlier, there's no attention to detail about all the little things that you've got to be able to do. We have too many players that take too many plays off defensively. So many of them. And it doesn't necessarily mean about making a tackle or hitting someone. It's the whole process of hitting, driving, controlling, turning, getting them on their back, talking in the tackle, getting second marker up, first marker up, third bloke down, getting back to a defender, all that stuff. That's defense. It's not just making a tackle. There is so much more to it than just actually tackling somebody. Because if we can tackle somebody, I mean, we know Appy likes to go low. If Appy goes low the whole game, people are going to get quick play the balls off the back of him. There is so much more to the defence than just tackling people. And we get like 50 or 60% right on occasions. There was not one set today, we pinned Parramatta inside their 30. Sorry, no, I lie.
Yeah,
there was one at the back end.
Yeah.
There was one at the back end of the game. And Parramatta, lucky they got noses, they can kick the ball 60 metres. But that was the only set in the game. But that was because Parramatta...
After Fenoy's try.
Yeah, that was because Parramatta were on the back foot a little bit.
Is that just, Steve, a combination of like the amount of noise going on in the club and guys being physically beat up? Because we were so good at that the first 8 weeks of the season. Like teams couldn't get into our 20 because we're winning that physical battle.
Yeah, but that's the problem with our club. Again, like I know we're going over the same thing, but like we have shown in the last 4 or 5 years that we can do things well for a period of maybe 5 or 6 weeks. Like this year, we played well for 2 months. We had 5 wins and a couple of losses where we could have won those games that we lost. But then, as we always do, we just cannot sustain that. Now, I don't know whether that's fitness, like we were supposed to be fitter and faster than we've ever been before. I don't know whether we just put so much effort into the way we play that we cannot sustain that through a season. Like a first grade squad's got to be able to last 27 weeks. We can't seem to come anywhere close to that, not even halfway. So, you know, whether it's personnel, whether it's culture, whether it's coaching, whether it's all the above, it's got to be changed.
It was better today, though. A lot better, I thought, the defensive intent. I know Parramatta shot themselves in the foot multiple times, but, you know, that game could have got away from us easily.
Yeah, the intent from the entire squad today was much better than we've seen for at least a month and a half. The effort was much better than what we've seen for a long time. I put a lot of that down to it being Appy's 250th game. There's still not a lot for our club to play for at this point of the season, once again. I think the main thing they had to go out and play for today was Appy. I was worried at half-time that could turn into another 40-0 sort of game. So I was really pleased to see us come out in that second half and actually make a game of it.
Can I mention, though, that comment then, to me, that is so West Tigers.
Which comment?
Well, you're saying, oh, yeah, but we had some intent today. That was all right.
It's not good enough anymore, is it?
We just lost a game to a team coming 15th. We're coming 16th. With 55% possession and an inability to execute and score points. It's not good enough.
You know me, Steve, though. I like to keep things positive.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, and you're doing a great job of it, mate, I've got to say. But like this is what's got to change. Like I've banged on about this for years, right?
Bang the table.
Standards of excellence, mate. We need in this club, we need standards of excellence. We've had standards of mediocrity for years and years and years. It's got to change. You can't look at that game and say, you know what, they had a dig. Good on you, boys. You lost. You lost
Steve,
again.
This is what I love.
Steve,
I love when this Steve comes out.
Mediocrity means you finish somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so we're standards of mediocrity minus. Like that's
I love it when Steve fires up.
Well, even Sean said today, we'll get to this later, I know, but Sean said today, right, there's no quick fix, there's no guru, there's no magic wand that's going to turn, it's just hard work, right? Well, it needs to be, but that hard work has to have purpose and it has to have a direction, and they have to look at themselves every single week in the operation and the plane of football and say, where were we not excellent? And wherever we weren't excellent, improve it. And this club does not think like that.
I love that. I always get mesmerised when Steve goes on one of those wild rants.
It'd be a long list.
Coach, I'm going to put my negative Eddie hat on for a minute. And I know you don't like this take, but I think a couple of years ago when you were in Sydney in the studio, we went through the list of fullbacks in the NRL, and I said I don't think Jareem Buller's a top 8 fullback in the NRL.
Where do you have him now?
And put it this way, look, he's a bloody good footballer, and he's playing first grade in the NRL, which is way better than I'll ever do, and he's earning good money and he deserves it, but he's not even close to a top 8 fullback in the NRL at the moment, Coach. That was, I feel for him because I know he's carrying a shoulder, but you've said it before, if you're out there, you're fair game, and I thought he was diabolical today.
I didn't think it was diabolical. I think that's a ridiculous comment. But
well, what does it take to be diabolical? Are you talking like Tavana levels of 9 errors a game and against Cronulla? Like, I thought like diabolical, I suppose, might be a little harsh, but he didn't look like he could break one tackle today. Buller?
Well, he broke a few, so there goes your argument.
All right, well let's go to the other argument. He made 4 errors, and a couple of them were just soft errors, uncharacteristic for him, but...
Yeah, look, no, you don't make excuses because at the end of the day, he's out on the field. But to me, it's evident he's playing with one shoulder. Now, again, that's no excuse. I actually give that... I was watching Adam actually in the warm-up today, and you could tell he's still leaning on his shoulder as well. So, look, but they're on the field. They've got to be able to perform. They've got to be able to do better. So there's no excuses for them at the moment. And, they're going to get judged by that. But I'm someone that backs myself, in my opinion, in regards to individuals and players, and I know how good this young man is, and I think that, as we move forward towards the future, we'll see the value in him. But at the moment, he's not having a good time, and neither is anybody else, to be honest.
So you're still confident he can be a top 8 fullback in the NRL over the course of his contract because he re-signed?
Yeah, absolutely, I do, yeah.
Gary, you've been a big Buller fan the last couple of years. It's been a significant drop-off the past 6 weeks.
Well, I think the biggest thing hurting him at the moment is you watch him play and he's hitting a lot of half holes. So you'll see him, he's just about getting through the line multiple times in a game. I just don't think we're holding up those inside men enough for him. If you hold up those inside men just a fraction more, and you do that by playing better shape or running an inside man, doing something to hold up that inside defender from sliding across onto him, then he's going through clean holes. And we're just doing nothing to help him when he's going into that space, and he ends up running out of room.
I think he's really suffering from not having Kai Pearce-Paul out there on that right edge. Who did what you were saying.
Coach, go on. You're going to say something.
No, I just think, look, I know everybody knows how much of a fan I have of him, so I don't want people to think I'm making excuses, but if you're going to criticise our attack and what it looks like and the fact that we don't get to create opportunities, well, you can't really criticise a fullback for not being able to do that. Now, I will say this, because I've seen a lot of people during the week talk about Scott Drinkwater. I will take Jareem Buller every day of the week right now with one shoulder over Scott Drinkwater.
Even with the way that, and I know he doesn't, you sent us a couple of clips of his defensive efforts last week, but the way the rules are these days, like I look at fullbacks like Kinney and Weeks, Keanu Kinney and Weeks, and even Iongi today, I just feel like they have a little bit more speed and power, and they can break those half tackles. And that's not a criticism of Jareem if he doesn't have it. I just feel like he's more a finesse fullback that gets through a half gap and can't go fully through.
Well, speed-wise, he's one of the quickest fullbacks in the competition, and we've seen that. I mean, he runs everybody down. He ran
in space, down last week. Yeah. I'm sort of talking like poking through.
Explosive speed, yeah, but that's not. But everybody has their variation in what they are attacking-wise. And you know what? We haven't seen a good year from Jareem this year, but I'm going to back him to be able to, improve over the next couple of years. He may not. He may make me look like an idiot, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm just going to continue to back him and, keep having that opinion. I just read. I'm trying not to look at the comments, but some idiot just said he's not in the top 20 fullbacks in the competition. You're an idiot.
So you think, obviously, that the Dragons, if you were starting an NRL franchise, you'd take Jareem Buller over Scott Drinkwater every day of the week?
Well, the problem is Scott Drinkwater's got zero defence. He runs away from defending. So, like, for example, today, Jareem's made 2 tries saving tackles. Scott Drinkwater fakes to go for the intercept every time. So it would have been tries. So I'm going to take Jareem over him.
Can I ask you a question? Like, you guys have just mentioned that we've got Buller with one shoulder, we've got Dewey still not 100%. We've got Appy playing injured. Surely at this time of year, isn't it time to pull these guys and get them into rehab so that they start the preseason running rather than having their operation, if that's what they need, at season's end, which then shortens their preseason?
I can see what the club doing though, Steve, because like Coach, you can't go into an off season off the back of 10 or 11 losses. So they just wanted. I'm sure they want to get 1 or 2 or 3 more wins, and then when you get to the last 3 weeks, you probably think about putting them away. But I know it's a bye now, and then the Dragons, and then I hate to say it, but the rest of the games don't look winnable. Would you consider now putting Jareem and Adam away for the year?
Well, this is going to be the controversial thing about this year is because I know that the players decide this. Both of them are going to be in the World Cup.
Surely the club can write something saying you're not going to the World Cup.
They can't. By the rules of the RLPA, they can't. So it's going to be interesting because both of them are very significant members of their World Cup squads. So that's going to be a massive question mark. Now, I would say, watching them both still play, I would say the reason they both are still playing is because they both want to play in the World Cup. Now, from a Tigers angle, that's not going to be great for us to start off next year, but yeah, we're going to learn about that at the end of this year. But at this stage, if it got to now for me, Eddie, if there's no World Cup, I'd say Jareem would have went in for surgery by now.
Right.
You could tell how hampered he is. Like I said, there's no excuse, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Positives today, Gary. I've been a little bit critical of Terrell, but his numbers were huge for 66 minutes, over 220 metres, 26 runs, so a lot of runs, but the intent was there today.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic today. I think there's a good relationship with Appy. I think he came out to perform for Appy today, and I thought he was fantastic out there. I don't know what I haven't looked at the stats yet, so...
I just gave you the stats.
Did you give the tackle stats?
221 metres, 26... no, didn't look at the tackles.
Yeah.
Would have made a bunch of
tackles. So
tackles.
you only look at one side of the ball, but...
Yeah, I'm the Benji. I'll just look at the attack, Steve. Well, who was your best today? Well, not 3, 2, and 1, but of the forward pack, did you think that was a strong effort by them today at times?
Oh, yeah, I did. And, Terrell for sure. But I think Fanil Pole would be my pick of the pack today because...
Turn the game.
Yeah, he did. And it wasn't, as I said, I think I said earlier, it wasn't just his attack. It was his line speed and defence. He was really having a go today.
And big thing with Pole over the last 2 months of football, I think we've seen his best football when he's coming off the bench. I think we saw it again today. We've seen it a number of times over the last couple of months. I think that role suits him. I think it suits his mentality. I'd like to see him continue in that role moving forward.
Our forward pack today, Coach, any standouts for you?
I actually really liked Alex Seyfarth again today. I thought it was really, really good. You can tell he's committed to the cause. I'm starting to trust him more than I'm trusting other people, which is crazy to think, which over the last couple of years. I thought the other guys were okay. Twiley started the game well, but then had his old Twiley moments at different times during the game. But I don't think anyone stood out besides Fanua. Fanua just had that, unbelievable spell through the middle, which is different because normally we've seen Fanua start the year well and then sort of fall off towards the back end of the year. This year for him, it's actually the other way around. So, yeah. Okay. But I'm liking what Alex Seyfarth did today.
I think only 44 minutes for Polo, but racked up 170 metres. And, of course, that magnificent try. Some of the outside backs, Steve, a little bit of a struggle today. I mean, I don't want to trash guys, but like Junior Tupou, they were driving him back in a lot of tackles, so they went after him. Yeah,
we weren't very effective from the backfield today. That's for sure. Jareem had one of his worst games that I've seen him play. But, I'm still a real fan of his, but he didn't play all today. Taruva made some good yardage in the middle of the field. There was some nice one-on-one defensive efforts. Herbert pulled off a couple of one-on-one tackles
really
there
nice
that were good. As I said, I thought Hammy was all right apart from that last moment, but definitely we struggled from the back end to make good yards.
Any stand out in the backs?
Not overly. I agree with Taruva. I thought Taruva's probably had his best game in a little while coming out of our own end. Hitting the ball nice and hard, which we haven't seen in a little while, so I was really, really pleased to see that come back.
3, 2, 1, Coach. You got one for me?
Yeah, Jerome Luai 3, Jareem Buller 2, Junior Tupou 1.
That's a big fishing rod trying to wind some people up. I'll come back to Coach in a minute when he gets his proper 3, 2 and 1 going. Steve?
Yeah, I give Terrell 1. You got it for 200 metres. I give Alex Twal 2 points. Actually, no, other way around. Alex 1. I give I've lost
Terrell May.
Terrell 1, Alex 2, and I'd give 3 to Polo.
Yeah, I'm giving Terrell May the 1, Alex Seyfarth 2, and Paulie 3.
Coach, you just gave your reverse 3 and 2 and 1, I would say, but your real 3, 2 and 1 now?
That wasn't my reverse, by the way. But, Fanua gets 3 points for me today. Tough one. I'm giving Alex Seyfarth 2. I'm giving Tito 1. I thought he was really good today.
Any coaching points from today, Adel, that you saw? Use of the bench today, any different to usual?
Where do you want me to start? Well, I said during the week I thought they'd only use 2. If I was coaching, I would have only used 2 players off the bench. They used Charlie Murray in the last bit.
They're very late.
I'm reading all the comments and I'm trying to ignore them because all the people talking about the bench, I'm sitting there going, mate, who are you going to put on from the bench? Someone put, like, why wasn't Heath Mason put on? Like, we complain about these guys when they play first grade. We complain about them all. Now we're complaining why we're not.
Adele, I think someone may be fishing you.
I don't think so. I don't think in that chat they do. I think they just...
No, there's multiple people, Gary. That's the problem. Anyways, that's what I'm looking at.
You always, doesn't matter what sport it is, Adele, even if you follow European soccer and stuff, you always become a better player the longer you don't play and you spend time out of the side because the fans start raging about players. I'm raging about Buller, but like you said, you don't want Heath Mason out there at fullback. No disrespect to him. Anything else you want to mention from the game today?
Just that Sione's worrying me. Like I don't know. Sometimes you think there's a really good footballer there, and that, like, he's a couple of critical misses in defence today.
Like playing on the edge, you just can't play. On the edge.
He missed. He had a critical miss from the edge, but he also had a critical miss when he went into the middle, right? And his lateral movement in defence is really poor. And I don't know whether the game is passing him by a little bit. He's not mobile enough.
What do you do with Sione, Coach? Is it could be a confidence thing, like a lot of players, or just not suited to the edge? Do you throw someone like Seyfarth back out there now he's playing better footy?
Well, Suka, I mean, he came on and did the job. I actually presume that they put Suka on that first change, so he only had to play 60 minutes and then Sione could go to the middle. But I think they did that a little bit later. How far is KPP away?
I think 2027, Coach.
Jeez. Next topic then.
Yeah. When's the off-season start, Gary? Counting a minute.
For first time ever, Eddie, I'm counting down.
All right, let's change tact. We're going to hop into some of the big talking points during the week. Obviously, Benji Marshall and Adam Dewey, they both fronted the media on Wednesday at Concord. I think he's called it Concourse, like a circus.
Concourse.
It's a bit of a circus out there at the moment. Poor old West Tigers. But I'm just going to paraphrase some of the things that Adam said. I'm going to get the boys' take on it. He said he should have played and that he addressed the playing group. Said he let the fans down and he apologised for that. He said, I can be a stubborn player that's difficult to coach. He said there was a miscommunication and it was a build-up of a number of things, not just a positional switch. He would never put himself in front of the team. He would never break a contract or has never broken a contract, and he'd play prop if Benji asked him to play prop. He loves this club even more now, given what's happened. And he also put in a passionate defence of Isaac Moses. Coach, your reaction to that?
Well, I believe everything Adam said. I mean, I've always been the type of person that says to you that if someone says something and they put their name to it and their face to it, I'm going to believe them. I'm not that type of person to sit there and try to, accuse people of saying anything. So everything Adam said, I basically believe. And look, through my own ways, I was able to have some conversations with some people around it, and there was more to it from a club perspective and a playing group perspective. So the reason why Adam played this week was more about in-house and the players sort of doing that together with the staff. That said, I said it last week, it'll be a weak decision, and I think it's the weakest decision they've made as a club by letting him play this week. And it's not a personal thing. Like, it wouldn't matter who did that. To me, the moment you allow him to play is almost about the standards. It's almost like, hey, you know what, Adam, we're good, we love you, we're bringing you back, but this week you're gonna have to miss this week. We're gonna have to show and put ourselves out there to everybody and say we cannot accept someone making an individual decision, because too many people are making individual decisions both on and off the field at the moment. So, yeah, it's a weak decision by Benji and the staff, and they're going to have to live with it because, we didn't get rewarded today, did we?
Overall take on Adam's words Wednesday?
Yeah, I'd like to believe that he was telling the truth. It's going to make it very hard for him to move on at the end of this season if that's his intention with what he said. It's going to make him look very poor. So I would like to think he's smart enough that that's not therefore not part of the agenda. The big takeaway for me goes back to that now infamous comment that got caught on camera from Benji saying there are standards at this club. If you don't reach the standards, there's the door, right? Which I think is a great pre-season thing to say. It puts a line in the sand. This is what we're all about. Now, how is he going to stand in front of that group next pre-season and come up with something that is stronger than that? Because he said it this year, and the standards that he set, they've slipped all the way. So how is he going to come back at next year's pre-season and be stronger than that and say anything that's going to resonate with those players when a guy can decide not to play a game of football because he's got the shits and it's accepted? Now, so they may have smoothed over last week and this week and it all looks good, but I want to know how it's going to affect this team going forward when they come back into the camp next year.
Some strong points. I'll go to Benji's actual what he said soon, but your take on what Adam actually said, because you've been a critic over the years and you were rightly pretty pissed off last week.
Yeah. What I'd like to say is I like that Adam got up and took ownership. I was quite impressed by that. It's a hard thing to do, and he did it in front of his teammates. It's a very hard thing to do, is get up in front of people you respect and people you like and people who you want to respect you and say, I did the wrong thing, I messed up, and I'm taking ownership for that. That's a really tough thing to do, and he did that. It's also a really tough thing to get up in front of reporters and video cameras and say, I'm in the wrong, I messed up, and he apologised to fans. So I want to give him all the credit for that. I think that's a great thing to do, and I believe every word of it, and I believe he means that.
There's a but coming.
There is a but coming. For me,
Bart Cummings. Bart Cummings.
For me, the fundamental standard in a football club is that you show up for your teammates and you play football. And you go out onto the field and you give the best of your ability. He didn't do that last weekend.
But he can't rewind time.
No, he can't. But that also means any time down the track, which he has done in the past, that he wants to talk about standards and hold other players to account over standards. In my opinion, until something drastically changes, he's forfeited that right. I don't want to hear him talking in the media about how other players need to perform and how other people need to look to him for leadership. He's lost that right until he earns that back. And there's a lot to do for him to earn that back in our club after failing to meet the fundamental standards that I see in a football club.
I want to say this. Benji in his press conference said sometimes you got to put your ego aside. I think that was the time he needed to put his ego in front. I think he needed to stamp his authority. Like, I know in the modern day...
Is Benji or Adam?
I know, Benji.
Right.
I know we have leadership groups, and I know everything's about discussions and you do this as a thing. But at some stage, you got to just go, you veto everything. You go, I'm the boss. Okay? I'm the boss. This is what we're doing. That was the time to me, in my opinion, if I'm on Benji's side and I'm one of the people he's sitting by him, I'm going, no, we want your ego right now. We need you to stand up as the greatest player ever of our club and say, this is the moment in the time, especially when it's your best mate. I remember reading something about watching something about Greg Popovich talk about the great Tim Duncan, who played for the San Antonio Spurs, and he basically said, Tim Duncan is the greatest San Antonio Spurs basketball player to ever play. And what Greg Popovich said about him was, because he was the best player and he let me coach him harder than everybody else, it meant everybody else would shut the fuck up and do what they're told. And I think sometimes as a coach, especially if it's someone like Adam, who, I know and I've found out for a fact that him and Benji have a very close relationship, that was actually the moment to actually say, because you and I are so close, Adam, because I love you and you love me, I've got to make an example of you because of what Steve said. and Steve is 100% right. How do you then start preseason next year? Rob Bashar, I'm being critical here of Benji, just in case you're watching.
He'll be watching. No,
How do you do that in pre? I don't understand how you can go into preseason next year and preach standards and values now, because you've just let the cardinal sin, the ultimate sin in rugby league, is what everybody's been talking about. You've let someone get away with it. Now, someone in the comments said, if Nathan Cleary did that, would you drop him? 100%. And I told you guys my example I've done in the past. And obviously, it's a women's game, but a completely different thing. You cannot allow anybody to put you as a coach in that position, regardless if you've got things wrong. If the way you did things were wrong, if you did it wrong, you'll pay the consequences from a coach's perspective. But you cannot let anyone do what was done last week. But I'm sort of glad they've sorted between themselves. The challenge is now what the actual after effects are going to be moving forward.
Just on Adam, Coach, is it an opportunity for growth there for him? Because he made a number of concessions and admissions there that he can be difficult to coach in the past. And he's obviously been part of our leadership group for the past few years. So are they just words, or can it be an opportunity where you think he could actually, this might sink in? You're not convinced, are you?
No, I think this is going to be a line in the sand moment, but it doesn't necessarily mean, because I already gave my opinion. I gave my opinion a month ago about this whole situation.
Before it all unfolded, yeah.
Yeah, about Adam's position in our team. So I still haven't changed that opinion, and I think there's actually a few more that I reckon we'd start to turn over.
But was that opinion based on football, or based on attitude, or based on the whole picture?
No, it was purely based off our footballing style, plus some other little things that I started to see in Adam. But I've also never seen Adam say what he said in the press conference last week. And he said some things about himself that would have been very embarrassing for him to say publicly and own up to. So the truth is, it sort of now puts him in a position where Benji does have the power in regards to what he does with Adam football-wise moving forward because of what he said. But I still don't change my opinion to what I said a month ago.
You know, I'm way more worried about Benji than I am Adam through this scenario. I agree, you know, with what we've all said, that Adam seemed to have a bit of a moment there where he spoke the truth and said, okay, this is what happened, this is why, and it won't happen again, right? I'll play front row if I have to. Sean Milcamp was really clever today when he talked at the ambush event. And he said one of his philosophical beliefs around leadership is you don't make the same mistake twice. So he actually gave them all an out. He said, right, without saying, he said, okay, we've made a mistake here. The incident was poor. The handling of it was possibly poor, but it's not going to happen again. As an organisation, we're not going to make the same mistake twice. But the thing that really, really worries me, I've just said it, I suppose, Benji has to set the standards. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the bloke who's coach up the top says. The people below him have to believe him and have to follow him. And I just think his crown slipped a little bit because the standards have not been maintained through the season, and that's been exemplified through this situation.
This is probably speculation, but if I was a coach in that organisation or a player, a senior player in that organisation, and I saw stuff in the press that shouldn't be about vaping in the gym or whatever, that's got to be a trust issue. And I'm not saying it's directly coming from Adam, but that sort of stuff's coming from someone in his camp.
Look, I don't want to say where it's coming from. I don't know where it's coming from, so I don't want to put an opinion out there on where it's coming from, but I don't think players could be happy about that sort of stuff getting into the media. I know I wouldn't want stuff like that about myself being broadcast on NRL 360.
Sean Milcamp actually said today, he said his office is opposite the gym.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And he said that absolutely did not happen.
Yeah.
He said that does not happen in the gym. He said that is a total fabrication. I don't know who wrote the article. Was it Ricky O or was it
I don't know.
One of those turds? But
we'll get in big trouble in a minute because we called him something else last week, and now you've called him a turd. And Dave was on the show with Rob last year, so Rob won't be
I actually said one of those turds.
He also said that Joe Tarpane is a better front rower than Payne Haas. He's a turd.
Coach, last one on Adam. You can give me one-word answers if you want. Will he be at the club next year, and should he be at the club if you're in charge?
Well, I've answered the second one before, but again, more about style. Yeah, I think he will be at the club. I think he will be. I mean, the only way he leaves the club now is, and I think this is what he set up, is we're going to have to move him on. He won't move on. Not going to he's going to go looking. So that's going to be our club decision, and we might do it. But yeah, second to that, I mean, well, actually, to be fair, I didn't say I would. I'd move him on because I wouldn't think he would want to play any other position. But now, considering sort of the way he's addressed the media last week, well, now you can actually keep him at the club and put him in a role that's going to suit everybody, suit us more than suits him. But yeah, so you know what? Things have changed, so you probably do keep him.
Gary, you look like you were going to say something there, but you didn't.
Yeah, but maybe pick him at 13 next week then, Adel.
We'll see.
No, I don't think that benefits us. I think for me, I think you keep going the way we're going at the moment. I know it sounds crazy because we're losing football games. You just ride it out for the rest of the year. I said, we need Latu back. I think Latu unlocks us when he does come on and play 13. But obviously, I'm not going to just switch him for the sake of switching him. But I actually think that's what Benji's going to do now. I think once Latu's back, I think he'll pull the trigger again and put Adam at 13 and put Latu at 7. That's what I reckon he'll do.
Right, we might have covered this because the boys have jumped into Benji already, but on Wednesday he said he loves Adam, paraphrasing again here, has a good relationship, and sometimes when you have a good relationship with players, you say things you wouldn't usually say to them. So probably some harsh words there. Benji said it was the best thing for the club that Adam played today. He put his ego aside in Benji. The fans need a win. Adam's all in for the long term, blah, 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 blah. Steve, I think you've already addressed the Benji take, but you obviously wouldn't have played him this week.
No, absolutely would. I think, as I said, I think Benji has weakened his own position by doing that. But, going forward, I hope they can work it out because I think Adam Dewey gives us something. He's a good football player, right? I don't think he's our halfback. I'm really hoping that Ladu Fonu turns into that guy. But Adam Dewey, at his best, is a good footballer. He's a first-grade footballer, and he's in our top 17. He's probably in our top 13. So, I hope they work it out. But I think I've answered the Benji stuff.
Your take on Benji's?
Yeah, I was obviously disappointed in pretty much everything, most of the stuff he had to say because...
Really?
Yeah, because...
mainly because of the decision he made.
Because of the decision.
Yep.
So the comments all come back to the decision that was made to not only allow Adam to play this weekend, but to allow him straight back into that halfback role. If there was a message sent that, no, you're coming back in, but you're playing that lock role like I wanted you to play last week, then at least there was going to be some kind of line in the sand for him. But the decision was to give him what he wanted last week when he refused to play. And that's what I had a big issue with. And that's why I didn't overly like what Benji had to say. It's probably the first time I haven't been very impressed with Benji in a press conference. So
it's funny as coach adjusts his position on the table. You just put me off there. Coach, he's usually quite combative, Benji Marshall, in those press conferences. He turns defence into attack a lot, and I think that's a good style to have as a coach, but he was a lot more conciliatory here and a lot more, not defeatist, but he was very open with some of the press. Was that just probably deliberate given the situation we're in?
Yeah, we're hiding to nothing, weren't we? I mean, it was embarrassing what the club went through for a week. I mean, what are you going to sit there and argue with the media, in a press conference? I don't think that was going to work for him. Yeah, look, that again, he's looked pretty deflated. I mean, we haven't got the chance to watch his press conference today. He's looked deflated the last couple of weeks, but all the information I'm getting at the moment is he's handling it well and he's still battling through it at the moment. But look, you want to be real with all this. If we don't win another game for the rest of this year, I'd be scared.
More so for the fact that Benji might think enough's enough, and I can't put up with this because he did mention that last week. He said there were times before the Canberra game that it was sort of affecting his family. If he gets to that point, he said he's never a quitter and hasn't been his whole life, and I 100% agree with that, given the career he carved out with all those injuries and setbacks. But are you saying concerned as in Benji might walk away, or the club might just have to make a decision that this can't go on?
Both. Both. I mean, it's hard when you're in a position where, if we fall like we fell or like we could potentially fall, and you finish this year without winning another game, preseason's not going to fix that. I'm sorry, and when it's not like I know everyone else got a different opinion. We're losing our most important player. To me, we're not going to know how good Jerome is till he leaves.
But you
Let
defended
me-
that decision.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I'm not disagreeing with the fact from a cap perspective to keep all the guys, but I didn't expect the Adam stuff to come up, and I didn't expect us to lose every single game. That's the big thing for me. Is when you go down that hill, if you get to the bottom, it's going to be very hard. Preseason will not fix that. So it's either they go really hard at the market and really try to flip some of the players in our roster. And I know that some people have come up to me and said, well, here we go, another rebuild. It's not a rebuild. There's no such thing as rebuilds in rugby league anymore. People can flip their rosters in 12 months or 2 or 3 months and get competitive all over again. So,
We can't.
well,
We've tried it.
history shows we can't, Gary. But you know what? We can't keep doing the same things as well.
No, we can't.
So you've got to try something. So you've got to throw some you got to throw it, have some throw at the stumps at different things, and you got to keep trying different things. But I think it's going to start with the coaching stuff. I think we're going to get different looks. We've talked about that. We know our defence coach is leaving, and I think if we talked about who we think, well, I'm pretty sure is coming to our club next year. But yeah, I think there'll be some massive changes from a staff perspective for sure.
On that, Steve, I mean, we're asking sort of hard questions tonight. I'd like to say I've got the ultimate respect for Benji Marshall. Like, he's probably given us some of the best moments of our life as a player, and I think he's in it for the right reasons. He could have easily had a comfortable career in the media like Cooper Cronk and those guys do and be critical like people like us do, but he surely needs more help around him in both, I think, general manager of football. I don't want to dump on Sean because he's the new CEO and he's going to be there for a while, but assistant coaches, general manager of football, more experience in the joint that could get to a point where last week would not have happened. The argument might have happened, but sitting out can't happen.
100%. Like I still believe Benji Marshall is the man for the job. He's Tigers DNA through and through. He has that aura about him. He can attract players. We've seen that. I think there's a lot of ticks for Benji. Where I think he's struggling, seemingly, is in the day-to-day game management situation, which he should be doing with a team, and it's widely believed that team sort of, maybe bow down to him and have a little bit too much respect for him. So I think we need, and I'm just waiting for Gary to jump across the table. I'm not saying this person, but a Shane Flanagan type of figure. Right,
Gary's nearly left the studio.
I'm going home.
A Shane Flanagan type of person.
Adel is not happy with that either.
Let me say, an experienced, hard-edged guy that's got a proven record, that's got a bit of an ego, right? That's the sort of person we need, right? That's the sort of person, because we need someone who's going to sit across the table from Benji and say, no, we're not doing that, right? That's what we need. We're not going to get that. We're not going to get that with a young assistant coach making their way.
Or one of his teammates.
One of his teammates, right? I don't know.
Ex-teammates. Coach, go on. Come back to you, Steve.
Steve, you know who we are going to get that from? Someone who this year, against a premiership-winning coach, stood up and walked out the door because things weren't going right. That's who we need. We need Ben Teo. I've talked to so many people about Ben Teo, and obviously Ben Teo played for us and he was Benji's teammate. Ben Teo is someone that will ask questions, has an ego, and has always actually had a lot of success, not just as a player but as a coach. And he takes no bullshit from people. And I don't think we need to go the other way. I think I actually think we need younger coaches. I think we need guys like Brett Morrison, John Morrison, and Brett Hodgson. Not inexperienced, they're sort of in the mid-range, but they're guys that are still trying to coach the way the game was played 10 years ago. We need the young guys who are coming through, who are updated with the game and have a bit of that carefree ego about them, where they will be a bit combative with not only the players but the staff. I actually think Ben Teo is the perfect person, and obviously we've heard it I've heard it from multiple people about him coming in. He needs to be the guy. I've heard they're going after him. We need to make sure we go after him. And there is the other component to it, and we can acknowledge this, or we don't have to. We've got a lot of Pacific Islander players in our team. Another Pacific Islander who is combative to them will be even better to have. So he's the guy for me, absolutely.
Okay, I'm not pushing back on that take, Coach, but I'm just playing devil's advocate. Like some people would say, he had one assistant coach's job and left it a year in. Like the club doesn't need any more drama. What if that happens again?
Well, we can't get any worse, Eddie. I'll tell you what he did do. They gave him the name the Minister of Defence of the Broncos for a reason on the back end of last year and how well they went. And you know what? If we're going to have a coach who stands for some values and is a bit combative and will be able to go against and not be a yes man, I think that's what we need, regardless of how that ends up.
Gary, I'll give you your credit. I think 6 weeks ago I sort of scoffed at you when you said we need wholesale changes in terms of assistance because people are not doing the right job there.
Yeah, and I want to sit across the table from you, and I'm going to say, no, we're not doing Shane Flanagan.
I said Shane Flanagan type.
Yes.
He did say type.
No one related to
and
Isaac Moses.
perhaps the fact that I used that name as the example, that was targeted maybe.
Maybe it was. I do like the idea of Benteo. The players at the Broncos speak very highly of him. So I know he left due to differences with coaching staff at the Broncos, but the players spoke very highly of what he brought to Brisbane. So
that's not going to fix our attack, though. Adel said he's a defence coach. Do you bring in another assistant? Well?
Have you seen our defence?
It's not great either, but it's better than our attack, I reckon, slightly.
So, but yeah, I 100% believe we need to bring in an assistant for attack as well.
Coach, I'm going to put my I've got a lot of hats at the moment, although I only wear this one on the show, but I'm going to put my fantasy hat on. And why don't we go pick up the phone and ring our old mate Ivan Cleary and say, you know what, Ivan, you've achieved everything in the game. You no longer want to be a head coach, it seems. You want to move into that path of mentor/general manager. How much do you want, Ivan, and how many years do you want? And there's a blank check, and you could be our general manager.
I mean, yeah, you've got to know whether he has any interest in it. That's the first thing.
Well, you don't know if you don't ask, do you?
Yeah, and PNG did it with him as well. I mean, they were open and talked about the fact that they did it. I mean, you can always ask the question, but I mean, I'm in this with all the respect in the world. As can Ivan do what he's done at Penrith without Nathan? Can he do it without Isaiah Yeo? Can he have that? Now, obviously, we're not asking him to be a coach, in your opinion, but I don't know. I don't know if that's someone that is going to be able to do that job. But anyone that's been involved in high-performance rugby league coaching can only be an asset to us. Do you want me to throw an attacking coach's name up?
Yes. You.
What?
Who's leading the Queensland Cup stats?
It's not us anymore, actually. No. I just think that, again, we need to look at someone who's going to coach us in a way where it's going to bring the best out of our attack. Okay, and we've got to be a little bit more updated. What I'm doing, I said about a player last week, I'm going after Ben Hornby. I think that, someone like him needs to probably put himself in a position away from Wayne. We know he was interested in the Braggon's job and didn't get it. I think if you give him a challenge of coming to our club, and we know how good South Sydney's attack shape is, I think someone like him would be ideal to what Benji would want by his side, because he's someone that, one, is close to Wayne, and we know how much Benji respects Wayne, and we know someone that's going to be, one, do his job, but also be respectful to Benji and not be, what Benji always worries about is someone who's going to betray him. So that's my guy who I'd go after.
That was going to be my question, Coach. Like, I think there was a bit of a clause in Benji's contract. He got an extension at the right time there, and his manager did well, and he gets to apparently have some say over his assistants. But if you put yourself in his shoes, is that something you're always wary of? Like if you bought in a Ben Hornby or maybe someone more experienced like a Shane Flanagan or someone who's done a job, are you wary that they might be coming in with half an intent going, if Benji loses the first 4 games next year, I'm the head coach?
Well, yes, initially. I can understand why you do that initially.
Yep.
But if you're not getting success, you need to get someone to make you look good. And if they come in and make it even worse, well, guess what? You're back to where you started anyway. Because, like I said, the way we're falling off at the moment, that's got to be a concern. So to take a line out of Benji last week, you've got to put your ego aside now.
Anything else on Benji before we move on?
Yeah, the one thing I will say is we did ask Sean today about whether Benji does need a little bit more help. And as Benji said in his press conference the other day, Benji pretty much acknowledged that himself the other day. So I think you'll see some changes in that
Just
over the
quickly, you
off-season.
spoke to Sean pre-game for the ambush today. I believe that's up on West Tigers TV, or is going up tomorrow.
It will be going up.
Tomorrow's the plan, yes.
Did you serve him up some half volleys outside the off stump that he could drive through the covers, or is there a couple of bounces there? For
No,
him?
there were a couple of bounces, and it wasn't me. It was Gary. Gary conducted the interview, did a great job as he always does.
Terrible.
It was pretty hard hitting and pretty direct.
Okay.
And Sean was as honest as he could be in his position. Right, he didn't duck.
What was he
and weave.
honest with? I don't want to spoil it all, but a couple of things.
Okay, so he admitted to the fact that they made mistakes, right, and they are making mistakes, and that the club for too long has tried to have a magic fix for every problem that comes up. So something comes up and they try a quick fix. Let's bring a world beater in to fix it. He said that doesn't work. He said you've got to go slowly, systematically, and change it. The other big point he made, I think, which is it's not interesting because it's not first grade, but he said the most important thing at the moment in that club is to develop the pathway system. He said that's going to be our long-term future.
Main takeaways from talking to Sean today.
Yeah, the big one is he did place some blame towards a certain 5'8" for our season turning 4. So
Inadvertently, or do you think deliberately?
don't
No, we're not inside his head.
That's right. Let people have a listen and they can make their own mind up on that.
Okay, well, make sure you check that out on West Tigers TV
Chicken.
tomorrow, because that would be interesting if the case. I mean, it's like coach. I don't know if you want to delve into this, but it'd be like a first grade cricketer going in to play Test cricket and facing the West Indies first up. That's how I feel that Sean's. He's obviously vastly experienced across sports, but no disrespect to Central Coast Mariners or wherever he's been in the past in terms of dealing with community or fan engagement. But CEO of the West Tigers, he's in the furnace right now, isn't he?
Yeah, and look, I haven't watched. I'll watch it obviously when you guys release tomorrow. But what Sean said is exactly what Justin used to say, and other people used to say. Like, it's the same stuff. Unfortunately, we are in a results-driven business. You need to make moves. I know we don't like Canterbury, and we see what what Canterbury does. They're flipping things. You've got to, just because we think the Jerome move didn't change anything or didn't make a big, make us better. It actually did. It brought people to our club. Now, I know we think we're basically in the same spot, which we are. I won't deny that. But our roster on paper, does look a little bit better. Okay? The pathway stuff, the Roosters buy pathways. They don't have guys coming through the ranks. This whole notion of the Group 6 and everyone talks about Penrith's junior system. Penrith don't barely get anyone from the junior system anymore. We sit there and try to pick players out of the Macarthur district like that's going to be religious about who's going to get us into the promised land. That's not how it works. We need better recruitment all across the country. We need to get the best kids out of New Zealand, country New South Wales, country Queensland. We've got to be in the fight to try to get these guys to come to our club. And then you need a little bit of luck. They're not going to come from the Macarthur district. I'm sorry to tell anybody this. Everyone wants to sit there and preach about it. I've watched the Macarthur district. It's not what you think it is. Like, yes, there's good players coming through, and yes, there'll be kids coming through the West pathways. But if that was the case, why aren't Western Suburbs dominating the Harold Matthews and SG ball?
I don't want to keep comparing him to Shane Richardson because that's unfair, because Richo had 30 or 40 years in the game. Of course, Sean's going to be green in some areas, but surely he has to take a little bit of the blame for what's happened in the last 6 months, particularly that situation with Benji and Adam Dewey last week, because there's no general manager of football there. Surely he has to get them in a room to the point where that couldn't have happened.
Yeah, well, he's not interim anymore. He's not on probation anymore. He is the CEO, and it's like a guy who takes the field with a bung shoulder. He's still taking the field. You're responsible for your actions. So Sean now gets compared to every other CEO, and it's results driven for him too. He's got to do the right thing. I feel for him. I feel for him because he's got, like saying it nicely, he's got a pack of morons that are his employers. Right, and that is saying it nicely. And he's got to be so careful the way he treads, because he'll be turfed on his backside before he knows it if he does something to upset them. So that is extremely, extremely difficult. But yeah, he does need to take responsibility. I don't know who made, one of you guys might know, I don't know who made the Pat Richards decision. That was when he came in. I gather he was in part of that.
Benji. Benji made that.
Yeah.
Benji made that.
Well, okay, so Sean's the CEO, and Sean, at the end of the day, Benji can say something, but Sean has to rubber stamp it, right? So that to me, I don't know Pat Richards at all, right?
Richo wouldn't have rubber stamped that.
Yeah,
No way.
I can't see for the life of me how that was a good appointment for the position we're in as a club. So Sean has to own all that.
Nothing against Pat Richards. Like, you could maybe make him assistant general manager or something, but like, what's his background to be a general manager of football?
It's an extremely odd decision to put him into that role. A lot of that role is based around your recruitment and dealing with player managers, and I don't really see the experience he has in that role whatsoever.
See, the other thing with Sean, right, that's really important, I think, like we just talked about getting assistant coaches in who are going to stand up to Benji. At the end of the day, that is Sean's job. Sean needs to be able to do that. And if he can't do that, then Benji's going to end up making unwise decisions, because everyone makes unwise decisions without counsel, right?
What do you mean by that's like? Sean should be able to. Sean should be able to.
Sean's got to be able to
appoint the assistant coaches, or
no. I think it's got to be done in consultation. But at the end of the day, Benji answers to Sean, not the other way around, right? So Sean has to be able to sit in a meeting or stand with Benji and say, no, I don't agree with you, we're not doing that. And have the discussion, the debate, the argument, whatever it is, and then make the final decision. If he leaves Benji to do that all the time, we're going to struggle, because Benji's a rookie. Benji's not going to make the right decision all the time. You need counsel. You need people to talk to. You need to debate and throw ideas around. And Benji and Sean need to work in that way. Otherwise, it'll be a mess.
But this is the problem, because surely, coach, like, if Benji had a say in appointing Pat Richards, for me that's a Pat Richards decision. Is who you know, if you're general manager of football and overseeing the whole program, things like your assistant coaches, he should have to tick off on.
Well, I mean, not just that. Let's be a little bit real here, because I know this for a fact. Benji has appointed everyone over the last couple of years. Besides, I'm trying to think who Richo appointed. Richo appointed the head of women's, and that's it. Everyone else has been appointed by Benji. So even when Richo was there, the difference was, I guess what you're saying, Steve, is when Richo was there, he was playing devil's advocate, why, how, asking the questions, but then sealing who he's appointing. But
I know, Adel. I know for a fact that Richo and Benji had a really good relationship, and Richo was absolutely mentoring him. And it might come out that that's Benji's decision, and you know, Benji was put in front of the cameras more than Richo and all that sort of stuff. But Richo had his hand all over what Benji was doing while Richo was there. And
not with recruitment. Not with recruitment, though.
Well, he was part of it. He was absolutely part of it.
And Sean is a bigger part of it than Pat Richards is. So Pat Richards is more like, what I found out, he's more like a team manager type thing, right? It's not so much your typical Gus Gould head of football type role. That's more Sean and Benji and Shannon Gallant do that. And then Pat sort of almost facilitates all that sort of stuff. Very similar to what Matt Betsy used to do. So Matt Betsy, obviously someone I'm very close with, he was the guy that was doing that role prior to Pat Richards. He left, I think, just before Richo left. So he was more like, he wasn't, again, your typical head of football. He was more like sort of the third man to Richo and Benji doing all their stuff. So yeah, I still think that, you know, nothing really changes with how you do things. And then the other part to it is, well, respectfully to Sean, Sean's not, there's a difference between Benji Marshall walking into Shane Richardson's office, who's got the runs on the board, to walking into Sean Millercamp's office. And that's a relationship they're going to have to build, and they're going to have to build some trust. But what I will say is, when the CEO appointment was done, this is going to sound crazy that I'm going to say this, both interim and to seal it, the board actually asked Benji. And Benji gave his thumbs up to it. So Benji's just got a lot of influence over our club at the moment, and that's just how it is.
I guess we'll never know, Gary, but there's an old sort of coaching or managing saying that, you know, the first year you go in and you observe the place, the second year you try and make some changes, and the third year you make it your own. I reckon Richo wouldn't have put up with this year.
No, mate, same thing when you go into a school as a principal, by the way.
Is that a saying as well?
Yeah, 100%.
There you
Yes.
go. Maybe I should be a principal.
I highly doubt that, but yeah.
You've got to be.
I'd
We're
be
the
good.
West Tigers. You walk in
I'd be a
and
good principal.
you drop the sledgehammer. We're the West Tigers, mate. There's no cooling off period.
Hmm.
To me, if you're
You
coming
can't
into the
wait
club,
3 years.
you sledgehammer.
Where were we? There was one more quote I had from Sean. I just picked this one out, Steve. I want to know what you think about it. I'm paraphrasing again. We're on the way up. Everyone can see that. We showed that at the start of the year. Everyone can see we've taken a step forward. I mean, that's just a load of fluff.
Yeah,
Does he
it
have to
is.
say that?
Yeah,
It's worse than a load of fluff.
I don't think he should have said that. I don't think he had to say that. No one believes that. We're not. We are back to square one. You know, like Adel says, and he's right. You know, maybe the roster is looking a little bit stronger than it did a couple of years ago, and that's right. But the performance definitely isn't. We're in a worse position now than we were this time last year on the field. And at the end of the day, that's how you judge. There is still not an air of excellence around that club. Right, so to say we're going in the right direction, we are not. That's not to say the right people aren't there. Sean might be the right person, Benji might be the right person, but we're still not showing it. And to even suggest we're on the way up, the fan base are just not going to cop that.
We're 15 years out of finals. We've had 3 wooden spoons in the past. This is the most negative I've felt about the West Tigers. Oh, 100%. I've never felt...
Just because the hope was there for a
Look,
while.
it's a little bit that, but it's not just that. It's... I can't look at next season and see any way that next season at this point in time is better than this year. I can't look at our roster and see that it's a better roster at this point in time. I can't see how Benji Marshall goes through this offseason and improves what we're going to put out on the field. Now, things could change over the next
problem.
next
Even
month.
the Dragons have got cause for optimism.
That's right. So things could change over the next 2-3 months and that optimism turns around. But at this point in time, I can't see next season any reason why I'd think next season's any better. My belief right now, looking towards next season, is we're looking at a wooden spoon. And
There's Perth. We'll beat Perth home, we're sure.
oh, I forgot about Perth,
Jesus.
but mate, I might have to start supporting the Bears.
Poor old Perth.
But you just said, I'll just let Eddie get organised.
No, what are you doing?
I've never seen so many bits of paper.
Well, this is what you want to be the host. It takes 38 pages to prepare for this, dealing with these guys on the screen and stuff like that. But I feel like I'm Tracy Grimshaw or Jan Event from Current Event. Adel,
I just get turned on when you talk cricket. Like,
don't worry, we're doing a special cricket podcast before the end of the season. We're going to talk.
Yes, please.
I'm going to be the coach, and he's going to ask me questions. So we'll tune into that because everyone else is quitting this podcast apparently.
I'll be listening with the other 16 people.
Just taking shots at everyone now. Sorry. What were we talking about? I was just sorry,
Steve was saying something.
I can't remember what I was saying. It's gone.
No, I was just ripping up the Barry O'Farrell page because I thought I've asked enough questions and I don't want to talk about the bloody Leeds club that I like to eat my meals at occasionally. I don't want to bag them.
So you just go to the Eat Meals? Is that the only reason you go
Hey,
there?
they got a good Chinese restaurant there.
That's the only reason you go there?
I know what I was going to say, Eddie. Give you a couple more seconds. So, Gary, you just said it might change, right? This is my concern.
I don't see how, but maybe.
Yeah. So, at what point? When do we get? This is the questions we need to be asking. When do we get excited? Is it when we see the preseason camp video and we think, my goodness, they're all dirty. How hard have they worked? Right? Is it that point, or is it when we win our first preseason game? We see Jock Madden throwing beautiful spiral balls across field to Macassini running downfield, or is it round one when we win against the odds, or when we win our first 4 or 5? Is that when we get excited? When next year can we as supporters get excited?
I do have an answer for you. It's when I show up at the semi-finals and I see the side run out and I know their bus hasn't got a flat on the way to the ground.
Yep, that's it. I'm just not going to be able to. They're going to have to be 32 points, and then I'll start to say we can make the 8.
And then they'll get a flat on the way to the ground.
Last few minutes, boys, because it's been another movie length Sunday podcast. But 2027, just a bit of an outlook. Try and flip things maybe in a positive way. There was obviously no.
I just said wooden spoon.
I know, but you forgot Perth.
I didn't forget Perth. So second
Same
last
Perth
again.
side.
Second last again.
Although you get good value about another team to come last, not Perth. Coach, no Javon, no Hayward today. I don't know if they played flag or reserves, but would you be expecting that to continue for the rest of the year? Put them away, or you maybe dip them back in once?
Yeah, let them play cup. Let them play flag. Let them play whatever they need to play. The more football they can play the rest of the year, there's no point in playing first grade. Like I've had this debate before. Like just let them play football.
Andrews was very good apparently in Cup today. 7 of 9
They win?
touches or something. Yeah, they scored 50 or something today. I haven't seen anything from it though.
Yeah, you don't put Sam Constance on Boxing Day to open the batting and think he's going to be the next big thing and then not play him ever again. You just let them play.
Look at him trying to draw me into cricket chat.
Yeah, no, that's all
Let
he
him
wants to
keep
talk
playing
about is
field
cricket now.
Let him keep playing field cricket to the first test next year.
Shield cricket. Oh, my God. Don't get me started. Samuel Alafinu, Steve, are we still confident of re-signing him? It's gone a bit quiet. I suppose if you're his manager, I don't want to feed that, but like, why would he re-sign before November? He's going to have clubs out there. He would probably maximise his earnings.
Yeah, like he's going to command some money, I think, Sam Fanu. I get the feeling that he wants to stay and would like to be a Tiger. It's whether the Tigers will accommodate what he's after at the moment is what I'd be saying. The one thing that worries me a little bit about the way we've treated Adam Dewey is are we that confident of having Samuela and Latu there next year? Because
What do you mean by the way we've treated him?
Well,
Like we're not
sort
afraid if he leaves.
No, the opposite.
Oh, the opposite.
Like we're still prepared to put him in at halfback because, you know, my hope would be next year if they re-sign Latu's there, then he will play 7, and Adam will have to move. But maybe they're hedging their bets. But my gut feel is they'll be there.
I think it's the fact that, Steve, this week he did it because we don't have another half. I think if Latu was available, I think they would have treated this week a little bit differently, or Jock was available. But you know when we'll learn? When Latu's available. If Adam goes to 13, then it's all as it was. And if it's not, well, then I potentially agree with what you just said.
Yep.
Confident, Samuela? One word, yes or no?
Hopeful.
Okay. Jaden Brayley, coach. I don't know if that's confirmed, but it was definitely something on the West Tigers TV Instagram that caught my eye yesterday as a backup hooker.
That's not official from the club, by the way.
It's not official? Okay. Maybe we just got some spies out there at Concord. Is that the news? Doesn't exactly knock my socks off, but I suppose we went into this year with no disrespect to Tristan Hope, but he was our backup. He would be a better backup.
3 words: good depth signing. Depth being the key word.
Okay. Agree with that, Steve?
Yep.
Right. It's very comprehensive. Last one on the salary cap, coach. The interesting thing I saw is that apparently with the new TV rights deal, the salary cap could go up to as much as 16 million or something like that. I think it's around 13 million at the moment. So is that a tricky situation for clubs because you're operating with the same salary cap next year? So I'm just thinking of guys like Jake Averillo, and he was rumoured to be on, $650,000 for 4 years to come to the Tigers, and a lot of the comments were, "Oh, that's massive overs for a player like Jake Averillo." But would that be factored in?
Yeah, so the NRL would give the clubs an approximate around about what it's going to be, and the club's got to basically guess off the back of that. Some players actually get put in their contracts. What's it called? Ratchet clauses. About what the salary cap looks like. So they're not necessarily getting paid a figure; they're getting paid a percentage of what the cap is, and that's how they actually monitor. That's how they control what the cap looks like. So yeah, it's not going to make that much of a difference. All the clubs are in the same boat when it comes to that sort of stuff, so they'll all have to manage it the same way. I think for us, it probably will help us, especially with Jerome money being freed up. But yeah, that's going to be fascinating. That new CBA deal and what it actually looks like.
I guess that's someone where like Samuela could be a $1 million player if it's a new salary cap.
Yeah, possibly. I think it's even over the course of the lifespan of the next TV deal meant to go even higher. So,
alrighty. Is there any other players out there that we should be targeting, Steve, or it's mainly the guys that are on contract that just sort of jump into the net like Terrell May did? We might be on the lookout for.
Yeah, look, I'm not the best one to ask that question. I don't really know who's out there. We definitely need to develop our depth. We still need a couple of high profile in their prime sort of first graders, and then build our depth. Who that is, I really don't know.
Coach, you got any names for me? You mentioned Cody Walker last week. I nearly fell off my chair when you mentioned him. But do we need to potentially add quality to that starting side, or are we looking to add more depth players around it?
I think what you're doing is you're looking at the clubs that have had some tumultuous type of years this year. I mean, Brisbane's going to be one. Someone's going to have to get squeezed out of Brisbane. with the way they've signed everybody. And I think Billy's about to re-sign with them as well. So they're going to have a heap of hookers. Do you look at, and I'm just spitballing, I'm not going to say names. Do you look at someone from their side? Do you look at, someone who misses the eight? Do Melbourne try to offload some players? And try to rejiggle what their cap looks like and what their squad looks like. So that's the sort of stuff you're looking out for, because obviously the Roosters did it a few years ago with Terrell May. Those sort of teams are going to have extensive reviews on why their seasons have failed, and what you're sort of sitting there looking at is, what opportunity you can pick up players from those sort of squads. So, yeah, that's the thing you got to take advantage of. Does someone like Jerome Hughes, for example, does he want to come to Sydney and come into the big market? He's only got so long to go. And I'm not saying that he's going to become available, but all that sort of stuff. Like, no one ever thought Cooper Cronk would come to the Roosters. It's just always having your eye on the prize, figuring out what's going on, listen, keeping your ear to the ground, know what's happening, chatting with managers, and just being alert that if an opportunity comes, that we've got salary cap space, which I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to keep their powder dry, use the Jerome money to sort of managers to know that if someone becomes available, well, the West Tigers got the money to spend it. And disagree with what Sean says. If someone becomes available who you think is going to be a game changer, you pull the trigger on it. We don't have time to sit around for the next 3-4 years.
Excellent. Well, Gary, I think that's about it. It's my favourite week of the year coming up. It's bye week. You laugh at me, but...
No, you usually like it round one. So
But
see the damage it causes this year. Round one bye, Eddie.
Hook shots.
On a serious note, I saw that the West Tigers Faithful Boys and Hero Raw, those shows are picking up lots of numbers.
Yeah, numbers really
it's
increasing.
good.
Adel was on Hero Raw on Thursday last week. So, they're
West
doing well.
Tigers Life, you'll be previewing Dubai this weekend, I guess. There's no
I
game.
won't be. Steve's going on this
Oh.
week. Steve's making a guest appearance.
Oh,
So
You were good in debut on that show, I thought.
I thought we were all on. Aren't we? Is that a surprise?
I've got cricket commitments. And I'm also not contracted to come in during bye week. It's in my contract. Sunday nights, I don't do bye week. What
mine
about
too.
you, Coach? Do you
Mine
do bye
too.
week next Sunday or not?
No bye week for me.
How about we get
Can
the
we
two
talk-
Robs?
Can we quickly talk about the girls and how well they're going? Seriously,
Yes.
Eddie, come on.
I slipped up there. I usually mention it at the start. They beat Cronulla yesterday, didn't they?
yeah,
Yeah, well, we own Cronulla's asses. We've beat them 3 out of 4 years. And
One of my mates,
Yeah,
again, this random mate of mine, said there might have been a good price to win that game. So he was pretty smart, wasn't he?
No, but I love what they're doing and their commitment to their roles, and they're an example of you don't actually have to sit around and change your squad. I don't want to go off too early. Obviously, they've got some tough couple of games coming up. Well, not next week, but the week after. They've got a couple of games coming up, tough games coming up. But they're an example of if you can add the right pieces to a puzzle, you can change things pretty quickly. And it shows what you got when you got a classy number 7 running your show, doesn't it?
Finals or no finals?
They should make the finals 100%. If they don't from this position, it's a massive failure.
maybe we should just steal Kelly and Rachel's thunder and turn this into an NRLW show, Adele.
Well, maybe
Kelly
the girls
would love that.
The girls should give the girls centre stage. Let them do Sunday night. You're not doing your own show. The girls in Sunday night. We get the week off. That's my idea. Robs, if you're listening, that's my plan for the week ahead. Thanks for listening. Was the live chat civil tonight, Coach, or were they people just popping off into the game?
Absolute morons.
On that note,
So Robin Jr. were both in there?
I reckon they were under fake names, 100% those two.
on that note, thank you all West Tigers fans. Tough day today, but thanks for tuning in. We'll see you soon.